It's not even 9 a.m. and it's already 25 degrees, so it's getting quite hot quite quick. And there's something that I quickly want to talk about, so we'll see if we can get this out in less than a few minutes. So when it comes to permaculture design, there's a few things that stands out as very useful, and that is having a base map, which if you have drawing skills you can draw them, and if you search for permaculture base maps you'll find a lot of hand sketches, and those work really well. They kind of look like RPG game maps, which is nice. Otherwise you can use an aerial photo or really anything that you have, drone photo or satellite images, something like that. But a base map is the map that contains your whole key or vital areas of your property, so that on that you can overlay things like sector maps and a zone map and so forth. With this property here we want to do things right, and it's also more complicated, so these kind of things help to simplify and visualize and get a good eye for what's going on from a top level down. What I just want to quickly talk about here is sector maps, and that is the first thing I'm working on, because I've already got an idea how the zones are working out, but the zone map is something I'll add later when I have a good idea of where we're going to move, where we're going to drive, and where people movement will be. So let's quickly talk about sector maps, see if we can get this out in the next 5 minutes. A sector is like a pizza slice, so if you slice a pizza you have sectors, those are your slices. So what you want to do is, let me just show you the sector map that I've got here on the screen. This is what I've got so far. I've got the angles of the sun during winter and summer. There's also the winds, the summer southeastern to southwestern wind, and this is also the dry season wind. And then there's the colder season wind that moves more towards the west. And there's also the fire angles. There are aspects on the map like the streams and the roads, view and flood there. So these are the kind of things that you want to get some basic information on. First of all, the sun maps. This is something that you can, if you know your property, map out by hand. You can look at it and you already know where your sun is. But if you don't, if you're moving to a new property or you just want to actually get things very accurate, you can get something like Sunseeker app on Android. I know there's a few others that do this. It can integrate with AR to show you a visualization of where the sun would be at any time of the year. Shows you where the sun sets and rises. You can check, of course, winter and summer times. And the reason why sun angles are useful is because sun is your natural provider of light. It's your natural provider of heat. These things can affect your home placement, your garden placement, your tree placement, so that you don't shade your solar panels, your actual solar panel placements. Then of course the sun angles in the winter will actually be diminished and smaller, so that you can take that into account as well, so that you can have open areas heating your house again in winter. So these are the kind of things that you want to plan around your sunlight. This is quite important, probably the most important thing. The second thing that you can see there is the wind, and the wind will also affect everything. That is also your cooling breezes for the house, your winds that will drive fire risks and fire directions and destroy your garden crops, and your warming winds. Yeah, and there's some people that have wind power as well, so this is also again important. So that's the kind of thing that makes it quite important to know what your winds are doing during summer and winter. The next thing there, and that's quite important to me, wildfires. These things are quite a riskier, and fire is affected by the wind direction. So you'll see that your wind direction during summer is the hot wind that drives the fire. And for me, that would be behind me there. That is the southwestern side of things. You want to plan for a fire coming from that direction. So when you have a fire, building on that hill, on the mountain itself, would be a bad idea. And these are the things that you want to consider. Also things like where you put your tanks. We've got our tank on the south side of the house, but it's surrounded by a big clearing, because when you have a fire you'll probably not have electricity, and you want to be able to pump water, you want to be able to wet around your house, you want to be able to actually do some preventative control, like prevent embers from lighting up things near the house. So tank placements, fire control, vegetation that can do some mitigation, in our case like spekboom that can delay fire movement, these kind of things. So fire angles are definitely important to me. If they are to you, you should add them. Now the next thing, and that's why I've got the road here behind me as a reminder, is public people movement. Now for me that's not really an issue. The only people that move on this road, and most of our driveway, would be us or people that we know, maybe a neighbor. But if you have any public movement, if you have parks next to you, hiking trails going through your property, or servitudes or anything like this, you will have public people movement. It will fit into your opportunities and risks planning for your property. People can bring noise pollution, cars bring light pollution, people litter, they can again throw cigarette butts around and start fires. So people can bring a whole lot of aspects to a property that you definitely need to keep in mind. So maybe you want to block the view of a road. Sector map, sun angles, wind angles will tell you exactly where to put your trees in a way that you can shield wind, block fumes, block noise, block light from the car lights at night, these kind of things. That brings me to wildlife movement as the last one. Our cabin lies over that direction there. So on the southeasterly and southwesterly direction, we've got a lot of wildlife movement. Some of these are pretty nice, big kudu and so on. It's nice having them around because they add to the system and they control vegetation. So they do a lot of nice things for us. But when you do trees or gardens or anything like this, this is the kind of thing that you want to consider. They will come chomp down those trees in a breeze while you're asleep. And then of course with wildfire and wildlife, where these sectors meet, you'll have an influx of animals, mice and snakes heading towards your house, probably trying to get away from a fire or a flood. So this is why you want to add these things as well, so you can see animal movement in rare, unusual cases and normal cases. And I can't remember if I'm missing anything. I'm definitely over the 5-minute mark already. I'll see you next time. Thank you for all the views. Thank you for everyone making all the comments on all the previous videos. And definitely a shout out to the Patreon guys. Without you, it would be hard to get motivated to do these videos out here in the sun with the flies. So thank you Jacques and Joe. Thank you Philippe, Markath Goateries, Jacques, Kevin and Tiaan. I hope I'm not missing out anyone, and also the guys that's been collaborating very nicely with the channel now lately, from Arizona and the Australian outback and these areas, even some from Nevada. It's nice to see that we've got similar climates with similar problems that we have to deal with, and it's a nice thing to collaborate. It's really pleasant to be talking and chatting to you guys in the comments. Okay, see you next time. Fade out.